Eric Mintel investigates the Beast of Bray Road, a true encounter. In October of 2021, Eric Mintel, Dominic Sittel, headed to Elkhorn, Wisconsin. We were investigating the upright canine dogman werewolf creature known as the Beast of Bray Road. Making this trip possible was our Wisconsin branch researcher, Ellen Collins. Also joining us was Ellen's son, Scott, who worked camera and drone. We arrived in Elkhorn on October 2nd and went to the farm of Lee Hampel. Lee, a very tall man, was also a retired math teacher from the Wauconda, Illinois school district. Lee had no interest in the paranormal until one night in May of 2013, he saw it. As Lee was backing out of his driveway, he noticed two red glowing eyes staring back at him from the fence line. He stopped the truck, looked, and all of a sudden, this thing, or whatever it was, jumped 50 feet in the air and completely disappeared. Even though this happened in 2013, it would go on to make a huge impact on Lee's life. Ever since that day, Lee's property has become a stage for the inexplicable. Lee has evidence of orbs in the field, strange UFO-type lights in the woods, and a strange mist. Lee even has hair samples that, when under the microscope, are translucent. They're absent of the medulla. When we arrived on Lee's farm, you could see how visibly shaken Lee still was after all these years. He simply wanted to know what this is, what's going on. Lee took us into the barn and showed us all of the photos, the thousands and thousands of photos that he's taken over the years of this creature. In the area known as the Bait Area, a trail cam captured a strange mist that was over top of a roadkill deer that Lee had put earlier in that day to try to attract the creature. In the next photo, now keep in mind, the photos are 30 seconds timed apart in these trail cams. In the next photo, the mist is gone, and so was the deer. After Lee's presentation, while we still had a little daylight, we went into town to try to get something to eat. The town must have known that we were there, because everywhere we went, we were getting stopped by folks telling us their encounters with the Beast of Bray Road. Something is out there. Earlier in the day, while we were exploring Lee's hayfield, Lee was showing us the area that he's had a lot of activity, which we've called the Bait Area. It was a little bit of a walk to get to that area. Scott was following us with his drone. Scott builds high-end drones for Phantom Flight FPV. With the nature of these high-end drones, Scott has to wear virtual reality glasses to see where he's going. While we were heading over to the Bait Area, and while Scott was following us on drone, we completely disappeared off of Scott's screen. He took the glasses off, but saw that we were there. Somehow, we disappeared digitally off of Scott's screen. Electronic disturbances were only the start of this investigation. As night fell, we returned to Lee's barn. He showed us more pictures of the creature. The more evidence Lee produced, the more we were in unanimous agreement that there is a creature out there. But what is it? After Lee's presentation, I asked Lee if we could do a night investigation down by the Bait Area. He enthusiastically said yes, but to be very, very careful. Lee let us use the ATVs, and Dominic and I hopped on those while Ellen and Scott followed us in Ellen's truck down to the Bait Area. We got out, set up the cameras, and waited for some kind of action. Right away, Scott had difficulty setting up the GoPro. He couldn't get a connection. We figured if we couldn't get Scott's GoPros to work, we had Lee's trail cams to fall back on. I said to Ellen, "Are you ready for this?" She replied, "Yes, I am." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "I'm sure." Dominic said, "Well, at least somebody is." I will say that this is completely out of Dominic's wheelhouse. He's a spirit medium. I dragged him out to Elkhorn, Wisconsin to investigate the Beast of Bray Road. Sorry, Dom. No sooner were we out there 5 minutes, Dominic looks up and exclaims, "What the hell is that?" We looked up and saw a solid orb of light going right over the field above us. You could see other planes around it, but this was one solid orb of light going over the field, over top of us, gaining speed. As we kept trying to figure out what it was, as it moved away, It suddenly did a 45-degree angle and disappeared, literally just blinked out. This was the first of a trifecta of paranormal activity we were to experience that night. Still wrapping our heads around the UFO, we suddenly heard a howl very far in the distance. Then we heard another, slightly closer. From this point on, I'll play the original audio, unedited, unenhanced, just the raw footage of what we heard that night.
There's something there. Are you hearing this howl?
I am hearing this howl. It's coming from over that way.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
Uh-oh.
That's getting closer.
Keep in mind, we had very small lavalier microphones on our lapels of our jackets. It was so loud on sight that our small microphones picked up that howl. Here's a replay of the entire 30-second sequence.
There's something there. Are you hearing this howl?
I am hearing this howl. It's coming from over that way.
Oh shit.
Fuck.
Uh-oh.
That's getting closer.
As we stood in that field, heard that howl, we suddenly realized the Beast of Bray Road is alive and well. We also quickly realized we had no protection whatsoever. After realizing this, a sudden unease came over the whole group. We kept hearing rustling sounds going on behind us. Keep in mind there was no wind at this night. We told Scott to shine the light over into the cornfield where we heard the howls coming from. It was then that we saw eyeshine darting back and forth within the corn about 6 feet up. It was at this point I told the group that we needed to get out of there. We packed up the cameras and packed up the GoPro. As we were doing this, I noticed a strange mist coming up from the field that we were in. Later on, looking at the footage, the mist somehow was messing with our electronics. Our audio kept cutting in and out. We dropped off the three-wheelers at Lee's. Lee couldn't believe that we were back so soon. After telling what happened, we went back to the hotel and tried to wrap our heads around what just happened. On another note, the entire town of Elkhorn lost power the night of our investigation. We were still comforted knowing that Lee's trail cams must have caught something on camera. On the way to Bucks County, I got a call from Lee saying that the trail cams that night turned off mysteriously at 5 o'clock, and not one picture was taken until 7 o'clock the next morning. There were no pictures of us, and no pictures of the creature. One thing we do know for certain, the Beast of Bray Road is alive and well in Elkhorn, Wisconsin.